Welcome. Today, we're diving into something many of us experience but rarely admit, the feeling of inferiority. You might know that quiet voice in your head whispering you're not enough. It's that moment when you're scrolling Instagram and you feel like your life is a knockout while others are celebrating victory after victory. Or when you need to send an important email and you're battling persistent thought, they're going to realize I'm a fraud. Yes, it's that paralyzing feeling that makes you afraid to act, that makes you give up on your dreams before you even truly begin. Today, I'm taking you on a journey deep within yourself and into the profound thoughts of one of psychology's most brilliant minds, Alfred Adler. Though Adler lived long ago, he left us incredibly valuable tools for understanding ourselves and navigating what he called the inferiority complex. Today, we won't be looking at pictures or fancy animations. We'll simply be listening. We'll be thinking. And most importantly, we'll be understanding. My goal is to help you see where this feeling comes from, why it's so common, and most crucially, how you can transform it into powerful fuel for action, into motivation that will empower you to achieve what you truly desire. Get ready for 30 minutes of deep reflection. What is the feeling of inferiority? Let's start with the basics. Alfred Adler, one of the fathers of individual psychology, believed that the feeling of inferiority is a fundamental part of being human. Sounds surprising, right? But think about it. Every single one of us is born as a helpless being. We are completely dependent on others. We can't speak, walk, or feed ourselves. This initial helplessness, this physical and psychological dependence, is precisely the source of our basic, innate feeling of inferiority. Adler called this natural inferiority, and that's a good thing. It's precisely this feeling that motivates us to learn, to grow, to strive for improvement. A child learns to walk because they feel they can't move freely. They want to eat independently because they feel dependent. This is a natural driving force. The problem arises when this natural feeling of inferiority transforms into an inferiority complex. This is something different. It's a paralyzing, deeply ingrained conviction of one's own worthlessness, a belief that you are somehow lesser than others, that you have no chance of success, that you don't deserve happiness. It's this complex that leaves you feeling blocked, paralyzed by the fear of failure or rejection. Where does this complex come from? Adler believed its roots lie deep in our childhood, in our earliest experiences. Imagine a child who is excessively pampered. Their parents do everything for them, never giving them a chance to develop independence. When such a child grows up, they often feel helpless when faced with challenges, because they never learn to cope on their own. Or consider a child who is rejected, neglected, or constantly compared to siblings. Why aren't you as good as your brother/sister? Such experiences can instill a deep conviction of worthlessness, a fear of intimacy, and a constant search for acceptance. Sometimes this feeling is reinforced by physical imperfections or childhood illnesses, which, without adequate support, can morph into a belief of being different and inferior. And finally, let's look at our modern times. Social media, with its idealized images of perfect lives, the cult of success, the ubiquitous pressure to be the best at everything. All of this amplifies our feeling of inferiority. We constantly compare ourselves to others, to unrealistic standards, forgetting that what we see is often just a facade. The striving for superiority in your lifestyle. In response to this feeling of inferiority, Adler stated that every human being naturally strives for superiority. But be careful, this isn't about power over others, domination, or aggression. Adler understood the striving for superiority as the striving for perfection, for growth, for achieving goals, for a sense of agency and belonging. It's our attempt to compensate for that initial feeling of helplessness. When is this striving for superiority healthy? When someone who felt insecure in school becomes an outstanding scientist, or someone who struggled with communication learns to speak publicly with confidence. This is a positive striving for superiority, overcoming one's weaknesses, developing, becoming a better version of oneself. This is a natural drive that propels us to grow. However, this striving for superiority can also take an unhealthy form. Adler called this the superiority complex. Sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? But in reality, a superiority complex is often just a mask, a facade, behind which a deeply hidden inferiority complex hides. Individuals with a superiority complex try to prove their worth through dominance, arrogance, and putting others down. They do this because internally they feel so insecure and worthless that they need to elevate themselves by diminishing others. Their inner voice says, I must be the best to prove that I'm not hopeless. This is an escape from their own fear. And here we arrive at Adler's pivotal concept, your lifestyle. This isn't about how you dress, but about your internal map, a unique pattern of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that formed in childhood. Adler would say that your lifestyle is like software installed in childhood. It runs in the background without your conscious awareness. When you tell yourself, I can't do it, when you avoid challenges, when you feel inadequate. But here's the good news. You can rewrite it. You can change that software. How do you start? Dare to ask yourself, what belief about myself am I protecting by avoiding challenges? What purpose does this feeling of inferiority serve me? It's like finding your own instruction manual and consciously reprogramming yourself. From inferiority complex to the power of action, how Adler helps today. How to transform inferiority into motivation. All right, we now understand a feeling of inferiority and the striving for superiority. But how do we translate all of this into practice? How do we make these difficult feelings become your ally, not your enemy? Step 1, awareness and acceptance. The first, absolutely fundamental step is to realize that what you feel is a feeling of inferiority, not an objective truth about your worth. Repeat this to yourself. This is just a feeling, not a fact. Notice it, name it, and then accept it. Don't run from these feelings. Don't suppress them. Tell yourself, yes, right now I feel insecure. I feel inferior. And that's okay. It's normal. It's just a signal that I can change something, not a reason to give up. Ask yourself, when did you first feel inadequate? In what situations does this feeling intensify? What thoughts do you have then? This awareness is a key to the door behind which change awaits. Step 2. Understanding the purpose of your behavior. Adler taught that all our behaviors are purposeful, even those that seem irrational. If you constantly feel inferior, then ask yourself, what purpose does this serve? Perhaps it protects you from failure. Because if you feel inferior, you don't even have to try. Perhaps it gives you an excuse not to do anything, to avoid responsibility. Remember, you have a choice. Will you allow these old patterns, these unconscious goals, to guide your life? Or will you take the reins into your own hands and consciously set a new direction for yourself? Step 3. Developing social interest, Gemeinschaftsgefühl. This is one of the most important pillars of Adlerian psychology. Adler believed that true strength and a sense of worth come from a sense of belonging and contributing to the common good. When you focus only on yourself and your imperfections, you perpetuate your feeling of inferiority. But when you turn outward, when you start thinking about others, when you engage in something bigger than yourself, that's when the magic happens. Try to help someone else. Get involved in volunteering. Support a friend. Do something kind for a stranger. Acting for others. Fostering positive relationships. Building community. All of this builds your true inner worth, which does not depend on comparisons or the opinions of others. When you help, you stop concentrating on yourself and your fears, and you begin to perceive your agency and value in the context of other people. This provides a genuine sense of purpose. And remember the courage to be imperfect. Adlerian courage isn't the absence of fear. It is acting despite fear. It's the courage to make mistakes, to learn from them, to try, even if you're not perfect. We are all imperfect. And that is precisely what's beautiful. It gives us room to grow. Practical daily strategies. Now that we understand the theory, let's move on to practice. How can these Adlerian ideas help you in your daily life? Small steps, big changes. You don't have to change everything at once. Choose one small thing you will do today to feel more empowered. It could be cleaning your desk, having a brief conversation with someone you're intimidated by, or learning a new word. Set realistic goals. Avoid setting unrealistic demands that will only reinforce a sense of failure. Set SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Celebrate small successes. Appreciate every, even the smallest, step forward. Praise yourself for what you managed to accomplish. This builds internal motivation. Practice positive affirmations. This might sound simple, but it has power. Repeat to yourself, I am enough, I am capable, I have the right to make mistakes and I learn from them, I deserve happiness. Say them out loud. even if you don't believe them at first. Surround yourself with supportive people. Avoid those who criticize you, diminish you, or bring you down. Seek the company of people who inspire you, believe in you, and lift your spirits. Develop your talents and passions. Focus on what you are good at and cultivate those skills. A sense of competence in an area builds self-confidence. You don't have to be the best. It's enough that you are growing. Keep a journal. Write down your thoughts, progress, situations where your feeling of inferiority intensifies, and those where you manage to overcome it. This will help you identify patterns and track your progress. Visualization without visuals. Now, please close your eyes, take a deep breath. Imagine that your feeling of inferiority is a heavy stone resting in your hand. You can feel its weight, its coolness. Now, slowly, turn your hand over and allow it to fall freely to the ground. Will you feel emptiness, lightness? That is precisely the space for action. That is a relief that allows you to move forward. Summary and conclusion. Today, we've learned that the feeling of inferiority is natural, but the inferiority complex is a barrier we build ourselves. We've seen that the striving for superiority can be both a destructive force when it manifests as a superiority complex, and a powerful driving force for growth when it focuses on excellence and social contribution. Remember, your worth does not depend on what others say, nor on what you possess, nor on how you look. Your worth is within you. It's in your capacity to grow, to love, to empathize, to create. What was once your weakness, your feeling of inferiority, can become your greatest strength. It can become a springboard for building the life you dream of. Don't let fear paralyze you. You have that power within you. Use that feeling of inferiority as a signal that you want to be better, that you want to grow. Start acting today. Take that one small step. Feel that inner strength that resides within each of us. And remember, you are not alone in this. If this monologue has made you think, if you felt something in it resonate with you, then click subscribe. If you want to be part of a community that knows imperfection is a superpower. And now, to take your first act of courage today, write the word I act in the comments below. Let that be your first conscious step towards change. Thank you for your time and trust.